Today we're going to be talking about my transition and stuff because I just got back from San Francisco with Dr. Mosser to get top surgery. So that's exciting. I'm currently like 3.5 weeks post-op. Let me look at my calendar. Today's the 17th of August and I had it done on the 23rd, so about 3.5 weeks out, and I go to school next week. Right at my 4-week mark, I go to school, so I'll be needing to drive by then. And I asked the nurses, when will I be able to drive? And they said, once you're off of your pain medication. They put me on oxycodone. No, that's not it. That's not it either. Damn it, I threw away the oxycodone bottle. But they gave me oxycodone. It had instructions on it that read, take a half a pill to a full pill every 4 to 8 hours. So I took a full pill every 4 hours for the first, I don't even know how long, probably the first week, I'm pretty sure. Because then after the first week, I was able to get my tubes taken out. They put in tubes in my chest to let the fluid drain, and I had a caretaker with me. So if you're going to have your surgery, if you're gonna have top surgery done, this is what I know, is if you're gonna do it in America, is if you don't have a caretaker, they make you stay in the hospital longer and they take care of you. Or if you do have a caretaker, you can be released the same day of your surgery, and that cuts down on cost quite a bit, because the night in a hospital room in America is just like outrageously expensive and not worth it. So if you can get a caretaker to get you out of there so you don't have to pay for it, that would be amazing. And then if your caretaker can also do a couple of things, like my caretaker had to empty out the fluid in my tubes, which honestly feels really weird. So if you're going to get top surgery and you're worried about tubes, I wouldn't worry about them. I was really freaked out by them because everybody, I don't know if they talk about them a lot, or I just heard a lot about them, or they just seemed painful to me. But they weren't painful at all. It wasn't actually a big deal. So once I got my tubes taken out, they were only in there for a week, not very long at all. I got those taken out. We had to empty the fluid every now and then. It was a lot at first, and then as time went on, it was less and less. So it was less often that we had to mess with them, and so I could ignore them. And then I got them taken out, and that was at my first week. So we were still in San Francisco at that point. We were staying at a hotel. And so I'm going to show you guys some of the things that I packed and took with me to the hotel, some tips and tricks and things about top surgery and how to survive it better, and some things I learned. So number one is water bottles. I took this water bottle with me. It's a Brita filter water bottle, and it has a clip. It like snaps, the lid like snaps in, and then if you like tilt it over, it doesn't really spill. Like there's like a couple of drops, but you can get water from sucking on it, so you don't have to have a straw. You can actually have this, like if you can't lift your arms up to like drink out of a cup because you're like, right out of surgery, you can't move your arms hardly at all. So to keep from having your caregiver having to like give you drinks and stuff every single time you're thirsty, get you a water bottle like this, or a water bottle that's like one of those sports squeezy bottles. I think that would work really well too, because you can squeeze it and you don't have to worry about it. Here it is. I was like, I had one and I lost it. Okay. This is one that they actually gave me at the hospital, or at the doctor's office, at Dr. Mosser's doctor's office, because their doctor office is a gender confirmation center. So that's who I went to see for my top surgery. And this is the bottle that they gave me, which I could use it first, but it was like, so you're laying down like slanted most of the time, and so you can move your hand to like here, which is enough to get the water up to here, and then when you squeeze it you can get water like that. Boom. So what you do is you use these types of bottles, so you're not spilling, you're not using a straw, and if you do use a straw, you're going to intake a lot of air. Like when you use a straw, like sometimes you just take it, you intake a lot of air. I would suggest don't drink soda, because this gives you the same issue, is you're going to burp. because that shit hurts. Like, when you burp or laugh or cough or talk or sneeze, oh my god, that shit is going to hurt. So if you can avoid it, please do. And that's a good way to avoid that, is by using those types of bottles, which you can get for cheap. I would obviously suggest like EPA free. If you can find like biodegradable, that would be pretty nifty. But you know, just the safest thing that you can get for a reasonable price, and just do it that way. So that's why I have the Brita and then the one that they have given me for free. And then he told me on the phone, and it also says on their website that vitamin C, he told me on the phone that vitamin C helps with the recovery, so he told me to take vitamin C. So before my surgery, I started taking these. They're little capsules. I took these maybe, I don't know, 3 or 4, get my face out of this, probably like 3 or 4 days before I went into surgery. But I was also eating a lot of, like, I'm vegan, so I eat a lot of like high vitamin foods anyways, but there was a lot of dietary constrictions that I have, which I'll go into probably later on. So I took vitamin C and then ibuprofen. I wasn't allowed to take this before surgery, but I could take it after. So once I got off my oxycodone, I started taking ibuprofen to kind of dull down the pain, to readjust back. And so it's like, it still hurts, but obviously I can talk, you know, so it's not that big of a deal. Like when I woke up, I couldn't really talk, but I had to tell her that it hurt, so I was just saying ow repeatedly and very quietly and like under my breath, and she couldn't really hear me at first. My needles, because we're talking about medicine, I'm on testosterone and I had to fly out there, so I took and I put my needles, because I do self-injections, in this box. And this is just a random box that just so happens to fit the size of my needles. So I put all my needles in here, and I put my testosterone in its packaging. So my unopened needles and my testosterone in its packaging, and I put it in this right here to get through airport security much more quickly. So when it came up on the x-ray, they would see, you know, okay, that's like medical stuff, and if they pulled it out, if they were to pull it out and rummage through it, then they would see, okay, this is yours, this is clearly yours, it's not just like loose. Like if you just had like a loose vial in there, then that would be a bit sketchy. You want to have like original packaging that it comes in. So I would suggest that. And then, so the next thing about medicine, vitamin C again. So whenever I came back, I kept forgetting to take these because they're just pills, you just swallow them. And so I had to buy a bag of these because they are sugar and they're candy, and I'm a 5-year-old child. So I bought a bag of these. So you can take vitamin C like that, like in sugar candy form, you can take it in pill form, and there's also water flavor form that you can take it in. That would probably be a good one if you don't like the flavor of water, because you don't want to be drinking soda and burping, and plus you're in a healing process, so you kind of want to cut back on the junk food as is. So I would suggest flavored water, put fruits in your water, stuff like that, if you really hate water, but you need to be drinking water, and a lot of it, because it's a healing process. And the next thing, so that was all the drugs and stuff. So then I guess the next thing would be right, so I took my oxycodone once every 4 hours for the first week. And then after the first week, I was taking half every 4 hours, except for morning and night. So I would take one in the morning, and then I would take 4 hours later a half, and then 4 hours later a half, and then 4 hours later a half, and then 4 hours later it would be bedtime, and I would take a full, and then 4 hours later I would skip, 4 hours later I would skip, 4 hours later I would skip, 4 hours I would take a full, 4 hours I would take a half. So that's what I was doing, was tapering off. And then I got to a point to where I was just taking one in the morning, one in the evening, and that was it, and ibuprofen during the day, and then it was a half in the morning, half in the evening, ibuprofen during the day, and then ibuprofen in the morning, ibuprofen in the evening, and then ibuprofen as needed. So I'm at ibuprofen as needed right now, and I'm at 3.5 weeks right now, and I'm at ibuprofen as needed. So that's how you taper off your medicine. They also give you nausea medicine. I did throw up. That's not the nausea medicine. This is the constipation medicine. But they also give you nausea medicine. I never got constipated, but I did get nauseated. So I took that because the pain, it becomes so overwhelming, and if you don't do things just right, it's easy to do that. So I didn't eat was my issue. Was I took oxycodone and I was in a lot of pain, and I took it and then I ate a little bit and it was just like too much for my body, and it just rejected it. I threw it up, like I threw the pill up. And this might sound gross to some of you guys, but I took the pill again. You know, I threw up in a plastic bag, so it was like, came back, I kept forgetting to take these because they're just pills, you just swallow them. And so I had to buy a bag of these because they are sugar and they're candy, and I'm a 5-year-old child. So, right, so I took my oxycodone once every 4 hours for the first week. And then after the first week, I was taking half every 4 hours, except for morning and night. So I would take one in the morning, and then I would take 4 hours later a half, and then 4 hours later a half, and then 4 hours later a half, and then 4 hours later it would be bedtime, and I would take a full, and then 4 hours later I would skip, 4 hours later I would skip, 4 hours later I would skip, 4 hours I would take a full, 4 hours I would take a half. So that's what I was doing, was tapering off. And then I got to a point to where I was just taking one in the morning, one in the evening, and that was it, and ibuprofen during the day, and then it was a half in the morning, half in the evening, ibuprofen during the day, and then ibuprofen in the morning, ibuprofen in the evening, and then ibuprofen as needed. So I'm at ibuprofen as needed right now, and I'm at 3.5 weeks right now, and I'm at ibuprofen as needed. So that's how you taper off your medicine. They also give you nausea medicine. I did throw up. That's not the nausea medicine. This is the constipation medicine. But they also give you nausea medicine. I never got constipated, but I did get nauseated. So I took that because the pain, it becomes so overwhelming. And so it's just something you have to stay on top of. Taking your pills and eating when you take your pills. And at first, you're not going to be able to do it yourself. So that's like another reason as to why you're going to want to have a caretaker, is because you're not going to be able to do it yourself. So you're going to have to wake them up like in the middle of the night, which is annoying because it's every 4 hours. So what I did was I just kept food next to me, like cashews and stuff like that, just like next to my bed. If you're going to be traveling, pack a pair of headphones. I took my wireless headphones. Honestly, I wish I would have taken these because these don't need to be charged. But modern airports have lots of outlets, so it wasn't that big of a deal. And then another thing I would say to pack, so definitely button-up t-shirts, shorts, boxers, plenty of underwear, like a pair of underwear for every single day. And then if you need to go to like a grocery store or like a Walgreens or somewhere close by and like get a pair of underwear, like just beware. The price might be higher where you're at because like in San Francisco the prices were different. So yeah, just be aware of that. And so what I did was I packed underwear, shorts, button-up t-shirts, and that was all I wore. And then we came back and I was super tired. I've heard like people say that they weren't able to like reach to wipe their butts, but I had no issue with that from like day one because it's a non-issue. Like you can reach that far back. If you're too scared to, like you're too scared to, but like you can reach that far back, you're not gonna hurt yourself. And the airport was interesting because they have the thing where they make you put your arms above your head, and like I still can't put my arms above my head, but they're like, put your arms above your head, and if not, we're gonna pat you down. Well, it's like, no, so the doctor writes or the doctor's nurse or something, like somebody, I'm pretty sure it was his nurse, but they write you a letter that says this is my patient, they can go through security without being touched. And you go through the metal detector, and they swipe your hands for drugs. And I'm pretty sure they have like a K9 unit about that a bit. So for sleep, you want to sleep a lot because it's a healing process, and you want your body to have that recovery time. And in the sleep mode is whenever your body grows and recovers and heals the most. So take advantage of your bed and just like sleep all the time, just all the time. I still sleep a lot, and I'm like pretty far out. So the first week I slept probably all day. I am 3.5 weeks. I'm 3.5 weeks post-op from Dr. Mosser. Guys, my chest, and I'm gonna tell you about my scab. Dun dun dun. Okay, so this is my chest. 3.5 weeks post-op from Dr. Mosser, and it's pretty like sore. Still healing. But I mean, it isn't bad. It isn't bad. I don't know if you can tell that this nipple looks different than this nipple, but it does. This nipple is lighter, and this nipple still has a scab over it. Because this nipple had a scab over it yesterday. When I woke up, it did not have it. So I found it. The grossest thing I've ever fucking seen. But this is the scab that was on my nipple. Isn't that nasty? That was on top of my nipple. Can you hear that? So they're like transitioning from here to here, and then I'll be here, you know, so it's like fine, you know, it's normal. That's what the chart says. So yeah, these are skin grafts. They take your nipple off, and then they size it down, and then they put it back on after the surgery. So yeah, they take a little bit longer to heal, and they kind of hurt more when they're healing, but they heal, and then it's like all good. So this one is like not really hurting or anything. I just never touch it because I know that it's like new skin, so I just never touch it. And then this side, I definitely never touch it because it's got the scab on it, and I don't want to rip out any skin that doesn't need to be ripped out. And we have these like weird like lines underneath. I think that might be from the Band-Aids or something, I don't really know. They're just like hair growth. I don't know. But yeah, so I'm just letting it heal. And I mean, it's a scar, you know, it's like across your chest. And it's like when they first showed me, it was kind of taken back, because I knew it was bad, I just didn't know how bad. But I mean, it's definitely better than what it was. It's just that the healing, whenever you look at something that hurts, it makes it hurt worse. And this looks like something that hurts that does hurt. But then, like, as time goes on, it's less freaky. Like, whenever I got really stoned and I was in a lot of pain, and I could feel the stitch under my arm, and I thought my chest was gonna split open. I was having a big panic attack about it. That was not good, but like today, I feel better about it, because it's gonna get better, and then the scar's gonna disappear. Yeah. So my plan for that is to let it heal, and then once it's healed, then I'm going, and it's like done scabbing, and the skin is like good, you know, I'm gonna put coconut oil across the scar, and then put vitamin E oil on it, and then put like some other like silicone on it, right? Don't put anything on your scars or your nipples that your doctor didn't explicitly tell you to put on them before 6 weeks, like, so no silicone strips, things like that, before like it stops scabbing and there's no more scabs on there. Follow your doctor's recommendations.